Did you know that there's a battle going on between Silicon Valley and Beijing for technological supremacy? This is happening right now. First, we're going to talk about exactly what's going on, and then we're going to talk about what it means. An effort called the State of AI, which is a collaboration between the Financial Times and MIT Technology Review. It examines the ways in which AI is reshaping global power. So this is real, folks. And this conversation took place between the Financial Times tech columnist and innovation editor, John Thornhill, and MIT Technology Review's Caiwei Chen. So here's what John Thornhill had to say. Viewed from abroad, it seems only a matter of time before China emerges as the AI superpower of the 21st century. So this has meaning far beyond AI. Here in the West, our initial instinct is to focus on America's significant lead in semiconductor expertise, its cutting-edge AI research, and its vast investments in data centers. For more than 2 centuries now, no other incubator for unleashing human potential has matched the U.S. Today, however, China has the means, motive, and opportunity to commit the equivalent of technological murder. The data highlights what's happening. In AI publications and patents, China leads. So it takes time to compile this kind of data, but by 2023, China accounted for 22.6% of all citations and publications, compared with 20.9% from Europe and 13% from the US. Now, you may be asking yourself, why is Europe ahead of the US? Google DeepMind, London. Now check this out. As of 2023, China also accounted for 69.7% of all AI patents. So China now dominates in patenting AI innovation. Similarly, for now, the U.S. outdoes China in top AI research talent, but the gap is narrowing. For instance, back in 2019, 59% of the world's top AI researchers worked in the U.S., compared to 11% from China. By 2022, these figures had changed to 42 and 28%, so a huge shift, and that's 3 years ago. But as I said, it takes time for more current data like this to be compiled. Furthermore, regarding the technology itself, US-based institutions produced 40 of the world's most notable AI models in 2024, compared with 15 from China. But Chinese researchers have learned how to do more with less, and we see that every week now. Their strongest large language models, including open source DeepSeek v3 and Alibaba's Qwen 2.5 Max, surpassed the best US models in terms of algorithmic efficiency. Where China is likely to excel in the future is in applying these open source models. China has now overtaken the US in terms of monthly downloads of AI models. How about that? In AI-enabled fintech, e-commerce, and logistics, China outstrips the US already. Why is that important? Because these kinds of applications drive the economy. That's why. Also, in drones and industrial robotics, with the research field in AI evolving toward embodied AI, also called physical AI, China's advantage in advanced manufacturing will shine through. China is the undisputed leader in manufacturing technology for many years now. Dan Wang, who's a tech analyst and author of the book Breakneck, highlights the strengths of China's engineering state in developing manufacturing process knowledge. So this is intentional by the government of China. That's his point. China has been growing technologically stronger and economically more dynamic in all sorts of ways in the last few years, he says. And we can see this in the AI models now coming out of China, very rapid improvement. So now comments from Caiwei Chen of MIT. Hi, John, you're right that the U.S. still holds a clear lead in frontier research and infrastructure. But winning in AI can mean many different things, she says. For a general purpose technology like AI, which it is, meaning AI will penetrate every sector of the economy, long-term advantage often comes down to how widely and deeply technologies spread across society. And China is in a great position to win that race. Chips remain China's biggest bottleneck for now. Even as domestic chip programs expand, the performance gap at the very top still stands. Yet those same constraints have pushed Chinese companies toward a different playbook: pooling compute, optimizing efficiency, and releasing open weight models as opposed to proprietary models. So China can train its models with far less CPU hours, which stacks up to be a huge advantage over time. So now we get to the rub. China's industrial policy means new models can move from lab to implementation fast. Local governments and major enterprises are already rolling out reasoning models in administration, logistics, and more, including finance. Education is another major Chinese advantage. Major Chinese universities are implementing AI literacy programs into their curricula, embedding skills before the labor market demands them. The Ministry of Education has also announced plans to integrate AI training for children of all school ages. So China's going to kick the U.S.'s ass in education and AI because the U.S. is decentralized and highly disorganized by comparison. Decades of infrastructure building and top-down coordination have made the Chinese system unusually effective at pushing large-scale adoption. The use at scale naturally allows for faster iterative improvements. So in plain English, that means China's going to surpass the U.S. Meanwhile, Stanford HAI's 2025 AI Index found Chinese respondents to be the most optimistic in the world about AI's future, which helps them embrace it in society. And optimism can be a powerful fuel, but whether it can persist during slower growth in China is still an open question. Furthermore, she says the Chinese AI founders in this new generation are the most globally minded I have seen, moving fluidly between Silicon Valley, hackathons, and pitch meetings in Dubai. Many are fluent in English and in the rhythms of global venture capital. They now build companies that are quietly transnational from the start. So outside the U.S., folks, China is rapidly penetrating the rest of the world. So Caiwei wraps up, the U.S. may still lead in speed and experimentation, but China could shape how AI becomes a part of daily life. Speed matters, but speed isn't the same thing as supremacy. In other words, she's saying that China's methods will trump what the U.S. is doing, so to speak. So John Thornhill of Financial Times comes back with the last couple of points. You're right, Caiwei, that speed is not the same as supremacy. China's strength in open weight models and the U.S. preference for proprietary models may be misguided. This is not just a struggle between two different countries' economic models, but also between two different ways of deploying technology. Even Sam Altman admitted earlier this year, we are on the wrong side of history here and need to figure out a different open source strategy. That is a compelling statement from the U.S. leader in AI. So what does this mean? Technology has been driving economic advancement for 50 years now. And AI is now exponential. That means that the leader in AI will drive global economic change, which potentially means that China is the new superpower of this century. This has profound global ramifications because they talk about in this article how China is getting even more repressive internally. So that model will spread. Centralized planning, discipline, and focus may overpower the U.S.'s freewheeling style. So this is serious. This is why the current administration has restricted cutting-edge chips being sold to China and has made an early attempt at AI policy. But current U.S. policy is still far behind China's centralized approach. So what do you think? Do you think China will take over leadership of AI globally? And if you do think that, what does that mean for the world? Drop your comments below. And also be sure to include in your comments what you think this means for you. What I think it means for individuals is that you better know AI or you're going to get run over. And that doesn't mean know how to program it. It means know how to incorporate it into your life and use it to best effect. That's what I'm talking about. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time. Take care.